1,000 miles from Jerusalem is another Holy Land, Ethiopia.
There are countless bodies all before me. I've never seen anything like this in my life.
Rugged and isolated.
You see this? It's bad hell.
It's a secret vault of ancient Christian mysteries.
Inside this small guarded church is the final resting place of the Ark of the Covenant.
Hidden in subterranean monuments.
We're inside the rock that they carved.
Yes, inside the rocks.
And 9,000 feet in the air.
You fall off that, you are gone.
Christ's underground kingdom is revealed on Cities of the Underworld, Ethiopia, secret Holy Land.
I'm Don Wildman. I'm in Addis Ababa, capital of Ethiopia. It's called the Cradle of Humanity. It's one of the oldest nations on Earth. Little is understood about the vast kingdoms that ruled this land for thousands of years. But during biblical times, their remote highlands were an important safe haven for refugees escaping persecution and war in faraway lands. Relatively little study has been done here. So, as this developing land moves slowly into the 21st century, many of its deepest and darkest secrets can still only be found in the underground.
Today, Ethiopia is a remote, landlocked East African nation, a religious time capsule, so isolated that Christians here still worship in ways that would be familiar to Jesus' first disciples. Christianity began to spread from Jerusalem to the ancient world in the 2nd century AD as believers preached the gospel and converted new members. The first conversions in Ethiopia were in the 4th century, and the new religion caught on. By the 12th century, Christianity was the dominant religion here. Its holiest city, Lalibela, was a pilgrimage site modeled on Jerusalem.
This is the village of Lalibela, and while it might not look like it today, this was once the seat of a huge ancient kingdom. At this time, this is the 12th century, the world was a radically changing place. Muslim armies had captured and conquered a huge swath of North Africa and the Middle East, including the holy city of Jerusalem. As a result, Christians here were completely cut off, isolated from the rest of the Christian world. The king here, King Lalibela, set out to create a new Jerusalem, here in the underground. I'm meeting up with a guy named Fikru Walde-Georgis, who's lived here all his life in Lalibela. Hey, I'm Don.
Welcome and nice to meet you.
Every year at Christmas time, 70,000 pilgrims journey to the small farming town of Lalibela because of the vision of the man who ruled here 800 years ago, King Lalibela. Lalibela was the devout Christian leader of the Zagwe dynasty, a royal family as powerful as the Medicis. During his reign, Ethiopia was relatively peaceful, but the Holy Land was a war zone. As Saladin's Muslim army and European crusaders battled for control, pilgrimages to Jerusalem became nearly impossible, and Ethiopians were cut off from the spiritual center of their religion. Then, according to church lore, King Lalibela had a dream in which God called on him to build a new Jerusalem, a safe place of worship for his people.
For instance, if you look at down here, there's a church called St. George, so you can only see the roof from here.
Oh, look at that.
This is the church, St. George.
The roof of the church is actually the ground.
Yeah, that was just the level of the ground.
St. George is one of 11 churches sunken up to 50 feet beneath the surface of the earth, and the layout of the churches honors the key moments in the life of Jesus Christ. A cluster of 6 churches to the north stand for Jerusalem, the city of his death. 4 to the south represent his birthplace, Bethlehem, and between them runs an artificial chasm named the River Jordan, after the spot where Jesus was baptized. All of them are connected by a warren of subterranean tunnels and trenches. Today, these churches are known as the eighth wonder of the world.
This is the way down?
This is the way down. There is a trench down here.
So the Zagwes moved their capital here to the south, and King Lalibela decides to create a new Jerusalem, digging underground. There's actually a service going on right now. I mean, these churches are all still very much active. What they're doing here this morning, they've been doing 1,000 years. Tell me about this rock.
Yeah, it's a volcanic rock.
Okay.
Called tufa.
Tufa.
So the nature of the rock is actually easy to cut.
In Jerusalem, builders had limestone, wood, and marble at their disposal. Here they had durable, easy-to-carve tufa rock, and they made the most of it. Digging down to depths between 35 and 50 feet from the surface, the 12th century builders extracted stone from all sides of the church, leaving a monolith inside a man-made canyon. Then they carved out the inside of the building, like a pumpkin, and carefully crafted the exterior details.
They've gotten exact angles and precise corners. If you made a mistake while you were doing this, it was...
Well, that's really the thing. There's no way to rebuild it. If you made a mistake, that's all.
Right.
Church chronicles dating back to the 15th century claim that angels helped the workers here build this massive and miraculously precise church and 10 others like it, removing 150,000 tons of rock over 23 years. Over 100 clergymen live here today, just as they did in the 12th century, administering the rites of birth and death.
So all around here, I'm noticing these holes, these actual...
Oh, yeah, that was just a grave. Look at here. Even it look like coffin, has got a coffin shape.
So these were filled with coffins?
Just filled with coffins. Look at here.
Now,
there's a bone here.
Wow.
The bodies of the faithful, who may have come here to die in this sacred spot, have no names. There are no written records for Lalibela from the time, only legends orally passed down through generations. We are allowed to join the followers of St. George's Church, but we must pay the proper respects.
So you take your shoes off at every church?
Yes, in all the churches.
All right, let's go inside. Oh, it's beautiful. Wow, so this is all an open space here. We're inside the rock that they carved.
Yes, inside the rock. So where we stand, that was just solid rock.
Yeah.
Unlike the church in Rome, Alexandria, or Constantinople, the Ethiopian Orthodox rites were virtually untouched by the outside world for almost 1,000 years. They are a window to a time when early Christianity was just evolving from ancient Judaism. Here the beliefs are Christian, while many of the traditions are Jewish. Just as in Orthodox synagogues today, women and men are kept separate during services, and all the worshippers sit facing the Holy Land of Jerusalem.
Back here is Holy of Holy, where it has a copy of the Ark of the Covenant.
Every Jewish temple holds the sacred scrolls of the Torah, while every church in Ethiopia has a replica of the Ark of the Covenant, the chest reputed to hold the original tablets inscribed by God with the 10 Commandments and given to Moses.
You see more the Judaism influence, like having separate section for men and women. If you look at the e-devil and the non-e-devil, we don't eat like pork, or we don't eat...
So there's a stronger tie to the Judaic
Judaic Christianity. I mean, we practice Christianity. We believe in Christ, but you see the traditions of Judaism too.
Interesting.
We can still see how people worshipped here 800 years ago, but there are no hard facts about these churches. One mystery lies under the northwest cluster of churches known as Jerusalem.
So, St. George's is one of 11 churches. They're all organized in clusters. Further up this way is a whole other group.
This group of 6 rock-hewn churches are all connected by a labyrinth of tunnels and trenches.
Can I pull this off? Can we go in here?
Rarely used today, their original purpose is unknown. Did the builders dig down for engineering reasons? Or was there some threat, real or imagined, that drove them out of sight, underground?
There's a tunnel going down here, but there's another one up above. So basically, it's a whole labyrinth of connections, each one leading to another church. Whoa, there's about 150 bats in this little place. Oh man, we gotta go down there. Oh, it's just too cool. You want to just squeeze the camera through and I'll just help you get it through here? I got it. Got it. Okay. Yeah. You see this? It's bat hell. So, look at this round room in here with a single pillar in the middle. I'm a little freaked out by this bat thing, to tell the truth. That door is blocked off now, but that goes through to the Church of Golgotha. You gotta wonder why it was so important to this culture to be underground. I mean, on one hand, it was a practicality because they had so much of this good rock to work with. They could carve an entire complex. They never needed any trees, perfect. But there had to have been another advantage.
We know the role that faith played in building Lalibela, but the rest remains a mystery.
Check it out.
Coming up, an ancient church or a super fortress.
And that could have been a water supply for a siege.
And later, a lost kingdom may hold a priceless treasure.
Why did the Templars come here?
Search for the Holy Grail and for the Ark of the Covenant.
According to legend, 800 years ago, King Lalibela had 11 churches carved out of solid rock here in northern Ethiopia. Conceived as a new Jerusalem, the elaborate churches have been sacred pilgrimage sites for nearly 1,000 years. But a leading expert on Lalibela believes they may have served another, darker purpose.
Now, remember, the churches of Lalibela are arranged in different clusters. Those down in that area are more for typical religious purposes. But these over here, closer to us, these look a lot more like fortresses.
The vast church complexes in Lalibela were built in 3 distinct sections. The areas I had already seen with Lalibela expert Fukru were clearly designed and built as places of worship. But it seems as if some of the 4 churches at the southeast end of the complex were built centuries earlier, not to welcome pilgrims, but to withstand a siege. One of the clues is a tunnel system that connects the southeast cluster to the rest of the complex.
Look at this tunnel going straight down here. There's a debate whether this is military or not up here, but it sure has the look of it. How long is this tunnel?
It's about 55 meters.
55 meters, over 150 feet.
Yeah.
And connecting through to here.
To this one.
Yeah. In ancient times, I mean, these underground passages provided a perfect defense because if you were being attacked, the army attacking you would have to come in single file. So it would break down the attacker to one man at a time. Much easier to defend.
The long tunnel system in the southeast cluster leads to the Gabriel and Raphael churches, which are completely surrounded by a hand-carved trench ranging from 15 to over 50 feet deep.
So this looks like a defensive wall. I mean, this is carved out, right?
And this goes all the way to the other side too.
And this waterway here would have been like a moat.
Yeah, this is like a moat, or you can say like drainage. It flows all the way down. You can...
Yeah, perfect defense posture here.